My name is Kathy Buccetti. I've lived in San Anselmo for about 13, 14 years now. I moved here after my husband passed away, and I got sepsis. I was in a hospital for 3 months. He passed away, and then I moved to San Anselmo. I've been there ever since. I love my apartment. I love San Anselmo. It's the most charming town. I love how when you walk up San Anselmo Avenue, there's a bench on every block that you can sit. What I don't like is when you get off of San Anselmo Avenue, you can't walk. The streets are, the trees have torn up all the roads and sidewalks, and it's, if you've got a cane or walker or any balance issue, it's near impossible for you to walk. Besides navigating bikes and e-bikes and roller skates and everything, strollers and everything else. I consider myself really lucky because my disability didn't happen to me till I was 55. I had a full life up until then. So I don't have too many complaints, and I try to get around what obstacles I can. The sidewalks, we need help. That's not something we can do on our own. There are still times that are a little limiting. We were talking earlier about like Heinz Hall. I can't get to the top floor, and there's a few places like that you can't get there, and that's restricting. Am I getting off track?
Sounds great. I mean, I think some of the specifics are quite helpful. You could speak to some more of those if you feel like you covered the general experience, but like there might be certain places that you would like to go that you can't go, certain sidewalks that are more challenging than others. I think that could be helpful, perhaps.
Or how do people respond to you when you're walking through the town, when you're...
It's a mixed bag. Some people will open the door for you, other people will close it in your face. It really is, I guess it depends on the personality of the individual. I'd say for the most part, people are a little more sympathetic. This is my second go-around with a fractured ankle. So with an injury so obvious, people are a little more accommodating in opening doors and things like that, but I still can't get up a flight of stairs. No dancing on tables for the holidays. If we can help me with that, that would be great. What else were we talking about? I guess it's going to be a common subject, the e-bikes, how difficult it is to get around and how dangerous it feels to have them around you, especially when there's 6 of them riding in a pack. And the dog issue, I guess that's always an issue. And the kids throwing water on people. I guess these are all ongoing teenager angst things that we'll never get rid of.
Can you explain the dog thing?
Excuse me?
Can you explain your experience with dogs?
Experience with?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Dogs? I don't go to the parks, the dog parks, but if you do read next door, there's a lot of dogs off leash and attacking, and if you're like me, I have no balance. I'm bent over. I've got kyphosis. If a dog came at me, he'd knock me on the ground, and I've got osteoporosis. It would be a very sad story. People just don't take responsibility for their animals is probably the bottom line. They're off leash and they're not being cleaned up after. Not on San Anselmo Avenue per se, because there's water and everything for all the dogs, and it's like a little dog town there. But when you get to the parks, I understand it can be pretty precarious. People are frightened, of dogs. If they're not on a leash and they don't have any verbal control, they can cause a lot of damage. I've been in an instant where I was walking through a park and a woman had a bigger dog on a leash, and the guy had two little dogs off of a leash. And the two little dogs ran to the big dog, and the big dog just tore them to pieces. And, you know, it goes both ways. It's just stupid.
Kathy, you've lived in San Anselmo a long time. As you have aged, as you have had these disabilities, have there been some other challenges, or have there been some wonderful experiences that you could speak to of aging in San Anselmo?
No, well, parking's another challenge. Like I have a caregiver and she can't park to come to my house. That's very frustrating. She got a ticket last time she was here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. As far as, like I said, I'm grateful for the landlord that I have because he's not greedy. He gave me my apartment 14 years ago, and everything about it is perfect. He's a perfectionist. Everything, there's screens on every door, on every window. It's all carpeted. It's all tiled. It's, you know, he's just put a lot of work and thought into it, and he's not into it for the money. He could get a lot. I got a deck. I got a view of Mount Tam. I got a view of Mount Baldy. He could get a lot more, but he's not a greedy person. And probably half the people in San Anselmo know who it is I'm talking about.
Do you have friends who have housing issues or do you have friends or acquaintances that don't have it?
I have a lot of friends that have housing issues. It's just too expensive. Nobody can, like, I'm very lucky. I know I'm very lucky, but there's a lot of people. How can you afford, how can you be on Medicare, limited income, and pay $3,000 a month rent? You know, I kind of set in my ways. I don't know if I could stand a roommate. You know, you've been by yourself for 50, 60 years. It's kind of tough. But, you know, look at the rents. They're just absurd. And I don't think there's an easy solution to that. There's not an easy solution to any of this. Let me think what else I can think of.
Do you feel included in the community of San Anselmo, or in Marin in general? Do you have a sense of connection?
I'm trying to include myself a little more. Get involved in different functions, in different things. Marin Village, of course, is one of them. And I forget what I was saying. Just completely blanked out there.
About inclusion, some of our residents feel quite isolated.
No, because I don't mind being alone for one thing, and I've got a cat, and that makes a really big difference when you have a pet in your life. And as far as including, when I have the music, I'd go listen to the music, and you know, I try to go out to dinner frequently with my friends. So I don't feel, if I want to be excluded, I can exclude myself. Because I don't mind being alone. I know a lot of people have that big problem.
You mentioned the events. I'm assuming some of these music events are in San Anselmo. When you do go to events in San Anselmo, are you able to stay and find a place to sit, or
I have a walker that has a seat. I turn it around and sit in it. There's always a way. Yeah, if I brought a blanket, once I got down on it, I'd never get back up again. So I need to do the seats. I'd be in that park for a long time.
If it were you or telling somebody who was thinking about moving to San Anselmo, a couple of things that you really value here, places, opportunities, whatever, how it makes you feel, what do you think you'd share?
I don't think I understood.
Okay. If you were trying to explain why you like San Anselmo, what it has to offer to somebody who is considering moving here.
No, I tell them, there's hiking opportunities for everybody except me. um, it's a charming little town. Like I said, every block has a bench for you to sit on. All the stores are starting to come back, and keep our fingers crossed. What was I saying?
You were speaking to the positive aspects of San Anselmo that people could benefit from.
And
Oh,
maybe-
there's some very good people like Enchiladas and Marinitas, Heidi. She's does a lot of community work, and the music, the parades they have. The Halloween parade is the best. All the little kids and the dogs all dressed up, dancing around, and they try to have more. They should have more functions than they do. They used to have movie in the park, but I guess there's a issue with the park collapsing or something. I don't know the whole thing. But it would be great if they could bring it back to the old glory days of the antique stores, in some of the better restaurants that used to be here. People tell me about the restaurants that used to be here, and they apparently were killer. But they're not here no more. But like I said, the parades are they're just so charming. There's in lots of kids and lots of dogs. It's definitely a home oriented, and it's fun to just walk through San Anselmo and look at the houses. They're beautiful, but you can't really, I walked with a friend of mine, Nancy. You met her. We walked a very short distance to her house, and I near broke my neck. It was just tree branches and rocks, and it just needs to be cleaned up.
What obstacles would you say you face most just day to day in San Anselmo, in a regular day?
Mostly my strength. I don't have the strength to go that far. My obstacles are a little different than other people. This is temporary, but I have a disease on top of this that I have no balance, and a lot of things wrong with me.
So would you say it's helpful to have shopping and dining and all things that you need close by, or other than medical care? That's the way to say it.
Well, shopping is a challenge for me, because if you went into Safeway and you bought something, it costs me twice as much because I have to have it ordered in, and that's very frustrating because I don't make that much. I'm like right in the cusp of making too little and making too much, and that's the only option that I see right now is, going to DoorDash and having them deliver my groceries. But it's $30 worth of groceries is $100, and that's hard. That's hard to swallow.
Have you ever thought about leaving San Anselmo and living somewhere else?
I like it here too much. When I moved in, I said I'd die here, and I probably will. Yeah, I love my apartment. I don't know where else I would go. The weather is perfect here for me. Yeah, I don't... if someone offered me a ticket to Hawaii or Bali or something, I'm in. But I like San Anselmo for now.
Do you have any opportunity other than the parades to interact with the other generations here?
Excuse me?
Sorry. Do you have any opportunity other than the parades to interact with other generations here? With children, with young parents?
I kind of make opportunities. there used to be a store called Boondoggled, and I always wanted to throw clay, learn how to do that, and they only had kids. So I took class with the kids. So I really wanted to do it. So these little monsters, they were awful. But yeah, there was about 7 of them and 1 of me. So, you know, I'm not shy. I'll kind of force myself into a situation if I really want to do it. I have girlfriends who paint, and we keep in touch. So I do different charity work, so I stay involved in that. Do you know what Good Fairies is?
Yes.
Yeah, I paint rocks for a penny. I've painted about 400, 500 rocks for that girl. So I try to stay involved.
What do you get out of painting those rocks? And can you explain perhaps to
Well, she appreciates it. I know she passes them out. You know, it's enjoyable. I like to draw and I like to do artwork. I need to take a break every now and again because it just gets to be a little too much. Rocks. There are rocks all over my house. And then a lot of the functions for Marin Village, I've been starting to go to them just to get out more and make new friends.
Do you see Marin Villages as an important part of helping people in our town to do more, participate more, and get where they need to go?
Yeah. I think it's a great organization. I've been with them since they started pretty much here. And I have the same guy drives me every time of one of my appointments. He's great. I don't know what I'd do. Because like tomorrow I have to go into the city. I have to go to UCSF. Who wants to drive anybody into UCSF, into the city? You know, that's a lot to ask somebody to do. But I've been pretty lucky. He drove me Monday, he drove me yesterday, and he's driving me Friday. And they have a lot of people like that. Am I done?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We can do one more, right before we finish. I'm going to just get one more introduction, if that's okay. One more introduction of you introducing yourself. And I'm just going to bring my lens a little closer to you. Almost ready.
Kathy, that
Did I
was-
do okay?
You did beautifully. I love the breadth of what you covered, and it was lovely what you shared.
If I didn't forget things halfway through, it would have been better.
It didn't matter. All right.
It comes with getting old.
I know.
So let's do a short introduction of who you are and where you live.
My name is Kathy Buccetti. I live on Woodland Avenue in San Anselmo. I've been there for about 13, 14 years.
And maybe a brief description of what you would call your situation.
What I would call my
Right?
situation.
Like you said, you had some, maybe what you call it, disability, like your disability situation, right?
My disability, I have a very rare disease that not too many people even know what it is, even doctors. It's called a mitochondrial disease, and there's a lot of symptoms that go with it. So even without fracturing my foot every year, I still have some limitations. Hearing, vision, balance. I've had 3 knee replacements. I have a pig valve. So I've got some challenges. But I get along okay. I can go with my walker, I can go about a block and a half.
Perfect.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
I loved how you covered your visible disabilities, which are temporary here, and your invisible disability, and speaking to how